Also, I should shut down alerts. Thanks for the reminder. Refresh my phone real quick. 30 seconds. That'll do. Yeah, I forget the exact name. Yes, because we already kind of did the bulk of like the background stuff. So we did genre, we did stakes. Yeah, so that way, yeah, we do history. Like our backstory.
And we're live. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hey, Mr. Limey, welcome in. I hope you guys are ready for a fun game. Today, we're here with my friend, Uncivilized Dan. He's on that side.
It's me. Hi.
And tonight we're playing I Have the High Ground. For those of you who don't know or are unfamiliar with the game, I Have the High Ground is a game in which it has sort of a rock, paper, scissors kind of feel to it. But instead of rock, paper, or scissors, you have parry, feint, and thrust. Fencing terms I'm sure some of you are familiar with, some of you may not be, but you kind of know more or less what those words mean, but they'll become more prevalent as we play along. In this game, we are basically playing the lead up to the fight, the escalation to that point. And it was such an interesting concept that when Dan brought it up to me, I was like, yeah, absolutely, we'll play that game. That sounds so much fun. I cannot wait to see how that feels. And when we had our session 0, we kind of discussed the kind of game we wanted to play, and ultimately we decided, have you ever heard of Blade Runner? So if you guys are familiar with that kind of an industrial future with like a technology advancement in which we make androids, or in the universe, maybe since it's been a little bit since I've watched Blade Runner, so I don't exactly remember the terminology, but the point of the movie is that you have the Blade Runner, the bounty hunter, essentially, that gets sent after synths because they're like not allowed anymore. They're bad. They do bad things.
They break. They break and need to be taken care of.
Exactly. So in this game, we have decided that one of us will be the Blade Runner, one of us will be the synth on the run. And so, and Dan, do you want to tell the people which one we're going to be?
Well, if I've ever identified with any character, it is a synth on the run.
So
that's me. I'll be your.
That's it.
I got it, Phoenix. Thank you so much for letting me know. I just saw it. I had a little bit of an echo. You were coming through my desktop audio. That's fine though.
Oops.
Yep. I gotta figure it out. Thank you so much for letting me know though. So if you're the synth, that means I'm the Blade Runner. I'm the person who's running to go catch the synth who's breaking down, just, we need a little bit of maintenance.
Yeah.
In the violent manner. So.
No, it's. Look, so the way I'm picturing this is similar to, I guess, in the movie The Blade Runner, where these synths, these androids, have a lifespan. Like they eventually do kind of just break down, run out. And when that time comes, they tend to degrade. They tend to start acting irrationally. Um, the other thing I was thinking is, especially if my synth is one of like the sort of older generation, it's like, oh yeah, they were very good. They're very good. They were very efficient. Nobody really properly got around to programming in a proper off switch, so that became a problem eventually.
I mean, basically, yeah, that's
Newer generations, off switch.
and probably like with a remote also. So,
Mhm, mhm.
easy to deal with.
Right. You don't have to get within, robot smashing distance.
Cause man, they can smash. They're strong little guys. They're meant to work.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that's why they're dangerous. How dare they? Um, try to make a living. All right. So, we decided our background, we decided who we're gonna be, but now we have to know kind of like our backstory. What is the relationship between our characters? How do we know each other, or do we not know each other and it's just straight up the relationship between a normal Blade Runner and a synth? It's you exist and therefore I exist to chase you down.
I think
Um,
I think in order to feed into the drama, we can give them a little history. Like I think one of the
I like
options
it
that
too.
the game presents is like former allies. I think it'd be cool if we both like, we worked together at some point in the past.
Ooh.
Like maybe we haven't been partners recently, but like back when I was officially on duty, like whether we were official partners or we just worked together on a, you
Mhm.
were assigned on a case and I was like the synth assigned to you for that case. So like we know each other, like we have a history. We probably worked well together. And
Yeah.
then several years later, you get the order to go like, hey, remember that synth you worked with 5 years ago? Yeah, he's on the fritz. He's out there.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Um, I like it. What did you think? What do you think your role was then in assisting?
I mean, honestly, I think my guy was like kind of a combat robot. Like he was
Ooh.
that's part of why he's like now like, oh shit, like we need to take care of this. Because he was, he was an early military model. So not top of the line, especially now. Like by now I think his weapon enhancements and stuff are considered a bit old and a bit out of uh just outdated, but still military robot.
The most dangerous kind to just have roaming out there.
Hmm.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And I like that. I like that a lot. So moving forward, we have our descriptors, kind of an idea of what our personalities are, maybe our aesthetic. Um, so we pick three, it looks like.
Yeah, we pick one together.
Mm-hmm.
We one of these pairs of opposites that we have to kind of like figure one out together that applies to both of us, or that describes our characters rather.
Yeah.
So,
So pick one pair of opposites that describe our character. Ooh. So
let's see. We've got Debonair versus Utilitarian could be an interesting one for that one. Brutish versus Cunning, maybe. Um, Careful versus Reckless. Articulate versus Quiet. Yeah, but for a broadcast, for a stream, choosing to be quiet is kind of cheating. Um,
probably
so
not the best
let's maybe
choice.
not do that one. Yeah. Um, Young versus Wizard wouldn't really apply here. Vengeful versus Forgiving could be an interesting contrast, especially
Ooh.
if the vengeful one is the Blade Runner and the forgiving one is the synth.
Yeah. There's
Um,
also impulsive versus tactical.
Tactic, yeah, yeah, that could also work. And again, could work both ways, right? Could be for a military robot being very tactical and planning, but
Mhm.
also it could work as a sort of reversal where like the Blade Runner is actually the very, sort of more cold and calculating, and this machine is actually kind of more impulsive and unpredictable because it's breaking down, right?
Mm-hmm. True, 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 true. Okay, we have a couple of good ones. I think Vengeful versus Forgiving. I think there's a different story to be told there in a different setting for that one at least. And then what was the other one?
So let's see. We've got Vengeful versus Forgiving. We've got Impulsive versus Tactical.
Mm-hmm.
We have Brutish versus Cunning. I don't know if like that's a great match, but it could work.
Was the Careful versus Reckless? Was that?
Yeah, Careful versus Reckless, right?
Would that be too on the nose?
Maybe a little. I mean, we also still like we get, like if it's got part of it that you like for yours, like we do get to kind of pick individuals
True.
later as well, because this is something that's going to like describe like the core of our conflict there, our relationship there.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of having descriptors that are just both very human in nature, as opposed to kind of falling into the trope of the synth just being very,
Right, one of us is a robot, one of us is a human. That's like no, like we're both
you know.
like in the movie Blade Runner. Part of the whole thing is that the synths are very human. In fact, you can't just tell them apart just by looking, right?
Exactly.
Or even by talking or interacting with them. Like they look and act like humans. So yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Vengeful versus Forgiving. Like I
I
kind of
like
like
it.
the story there, right?
Yeah.
And then so do we want to go with that where like you as the Blade Runner are the vengeful one and I'm the more forgiving one, or we can go either way. Like we go like, no, I've got an axe to grind, and you're here like, hey buddy, I will take you down, but
I think, oh man, there's a good story to be told with both of them.
right?
Yeah, I think I like that. I think I go for Vengeful, you go for Forgiving. Um yeah, so Vengeful, Forgiving. Let's see. So together pick one individual descriptor for that both characters share. What do we both share?
Hmm.
What made us friends? What made us work well together?
Hmm.
I think, because if it was a while ago, how long ago do you think we worked together?
Like I'm thinking at least 5 years.
5 years. And we
At
probably
least,
worked
yeah.
together for a little bit prior to that.
Yeah. Like
Especially to
we work
get,
together enough to have like a relationship, and then like friendship, like work partner, etc. relationship, and then whatever happened, maybe I got recalled, maybe I just got reassigned, or you got reassigned. Either way, but like contact was broken, so it's been at least that long since last time we spoke.
yeah. So I would say, so at least 5-ish years and tack on maybe like 2-3 years of us working together.
Sounds good, yeah. So an
Let's,
interesting one for both of us could be underestimated. Like, what
oh,
if like when we got assigned together, it was sort of like, yeah, assign that like low tier detective with this older model synth and just, put them both out there to, to write traffic tickets or whatever. Like we were both underestimated and we like more than overcame.
I like that. And also has
Yeah.
could have a interesting story tie-in with Vengeful versus Forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. So I underestimated. That's a good one. So individually
All right.
pick 2 or 3 individual descriptors true about your character. True about your character.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to write these down somewhere. Lest I
Yeah,
forget.
so it's not clear if I mean, I guess it's a two-player game. There's really not that much you can like hide away from each other. So I'm guessing like these are out in the open.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I don't think they actually have like an actual mechanical effect. This is just like we're just setting up a story. Yeah, this is one of those games where
Yeah.
like it's fairly rules light.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
literally
No,
is, yeah.
this is to help us be able to take
Exactly.
jabs at each other.
This is all setting and background and getting to know what our characters are like. There's no like, okay, because I chose tactful, I get a +2 to that. That's not how this game
No,
works.
no.
Yeah.
This is just
Um,
creating people with personalities at this point.
exactly. Exactly. Hmm.
What if we pick two descriptors and I pick one for you, you pick one for me, and then we pick one for ourselves?
I like that. I like that. Hmm. So an interesting one maybe to assign to you as the Blade Runner could be uh it could fit into kind of the backstory that we're building, could be Infamous.
Oh,
Like
okay. I like that.
what if you as a detective, like part of the reason you ended up on, on quote unquote robot duty, was because like something happened, like you fucked up in a case or like something happened, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, did you hear about what happened to detective whoever? And so there's a level of infamy there.
And I think I like wordy for your character.
Yeah.
Um just so because I feel like especially for a combat bot that could be
Yeah.
dangerous ultimately with what you know, where you've been,
Hmm.
what you've seen. Um let's see. And then choose one for us. This reminds me of a single moment, says Phoenix Scientist.
I am aware of a single moment, and I know that it is a game. I have never seen it play, so I don't know the details about it. But now I want to look at it. This has the same vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I'm also unfamiliar with it, but I mean, the name itself.
Yeah.
Let's see. And now one for us, for ourselves.
Yeah. Hmm. I might pick for myself utilitarian. So I do
Oh,
want to pick something where it does still fit, like, don't break every
mhm.
stereotype. Like there are some stereotypes that are correct. Like so like him having that very utilitarian, like either something is useful or it isn't, kind of attitude,
Yeah,
could work for them. So yeah, so I think I'll take utilitarian for myself.
I like that. And I think I might take passionate for mine to not have some to just fall into like brutish and or any or cruel, not fall into one
Mhm.
of those stereotypes, but rather go um a different route as to why maybe I'm vengeful at this
Yeah.
moment in time. All right. Well, we have our character traits and kind of our relationship with each other. Um so exposition wise, it's how have we gotten here to this point where I have just spotted you, you know, across wherever we may be. I
I
am
mean,
actively looking for you. You know, I'm actively looking for you. What has brought us to this point here?
so we're in the city, right? So this is a full cyberpunk city. It's filthy, it's neon, it's the streets are wet, the people are grim, but also colorful, but also filthy. All the good stuff from cyberpunk. And All right, so if the synths have an expiration date, there is a record, right? There is a point at which, like, hey, this synth is either has passed or is reaching its expiration date. An alert goes up somewhere.
Hmm.
Um, but also the synth themselves, like, no. Okay, so I'm thinking a yes, the alert went out right to the agency, to whatever force you work for. Um, and could be that basically either, so we got a couple options, right? One could be like they assigned it directly to you because they knew, but usually that's not how that works. Usually they
Hmm.
don't want a personal connection. So it
Yeah.
very much could be like, no, you fought to take this case. Like, in fact, who knows? Maybe you're not even supposed to be on this case. Like maybe there are other agents like hunting for me officially, and you're like, nah, he's this one's on me, and you're like kind of off the books, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason I'm infamous, you know? Is this
Right?
why?
Exactly. Um, so with that in mind, there's got to be something that set you off specifically, or that brought up like what's happening. So I'm thinking, or maybe it wasn't even clear that it was me specifically. It was just, hey, we've got a case of a rogue synth that's been taking people out in this part of town. Like there's been murders, there's been some deaths, and when you look and find out who the victims are, it starts to click for you, like, wait, these are people from like the last case, like the final
Yeah.
case, the one that we had, the one that ended up breaking us up, the one that ended up like, nah, we're no longer a partnership here. um and that's where you make the connection. It's like, oh shit, it's him.
I like that. I almost like the idea of to like combined ideas here
Yeah.
of my character not being part of the force anymore, no longer working as
Yeah.
any sort of authority, any sort of police figure, and now but still has friends in
Hmm.
who do that stuff, and maybe going over to a friend's house and seeing the case laid out in front of them, and like, I can't figure this out, and it's like, sure, I'll take a look, and I look at it, and I begin, like you said, start to see the some
Hmm.
similarities, but maybe not even noticing it then, but noticing it, big Blade Runner style at home. Suddenly, the images start making sense to me. Um, and as I'm sitting there, maybe I hear like the sirens go by, and I
Hmm.
think about you, and then suddenly it becomes almost a vendetta to find you, for reasons that will be found out as we get there.
I
Um,
like that. So then with all that in mind, right, what
mhm.
brings us to like now we're here, like we have made eye contact, a visual contact, right? Um
I think I'm chasing sirens essentially. Whenever or like I have like the police tuner on, and I'm waiting to hear any sign of just like a synth probably just murdered somebody on the radio, and then just
right.
chasing those locations, and maybe looking for places we might have gone, and that's
Right,
where I find
exactly.
you.
Exactly. Like the synth is hiding somewhere. He thinks like, all right, good. Like, the sirens go by. It's like, all right, good. They didn't find me. When he turns around, there you are across the rooftop or whatever, going like, you always this is the side type of place you always hide out in. Like
I
it's been
like
it's
that.
been 5 years and you're still doing the same things, or that sort of thing.
It's the car drives by, and suddenly I appear behind it on the other
Right,
side of the
right.
road. I like that. So this takes us on to our next one, the environment. We have the how, and more or less the where, but let's cement down at least where we start. We know we're in the city. We're probably somewhere a little dark and dingy because we're in a hiding spot. But if we were to leave that place, where would we find ourselves? And in particular for you audience, we're looking to choose an adjective. In particular here, it says from 3 of the different statements. So it's or statement. So it's dangerous or secure, chaotic or serene. And we're just looking to pick one of those words in between the ors. I definitely feel cramped. I think cramped
Yeah.
is a good starting place. Probably
For
in
the
an alley
start, I
somewhere.
feel like cramped, chaotic, and dilapidated. All 3 work.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is it feels like it would probably take place in like a sort of more industrial, more rundown part of town, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially if I have to actively go there. It's still, travel time still exists, especially in the Blade Runner universe. You're still driving around a shitty car
Yeah.
in traffic. Or, God forbid, walking around, running around these New York City ass crowds. So cramped, dilapidated, and chaotic. I like it. It's probably like outside of this alley we probably find ourselves in. You could probably off in the distance you can hear people yelling, maybe screaming things. It's probably not nighttime, even though it probably appears to be nighttime. It's like probably mid-afternoon. It's overcast because of course it is. And and so everyone is walking around doing things. Not that they wouldn't be walking around at a later hour, but this is the height of probably everyone going around. So you hear the shuffling, the and the people selling things off in the background. All right, I like that. So next up we have our characters.
All right.
But the very first part of coming up with our characters, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's actually really important during character creation that the very first question you ask yourself is, am I wearing a cape? So in this game, we use a very well-known rubric known as the cape rubric. Obviously, you're all very familiar with it. And it's basically, we're going to use it in this case to choose who gets priority. Or in this game, it's basically advantage. You can almost think about it that way. So the cape rubric, just in case, maybe not everyone's familiar with it. Maybe other people haven't played tabletop role-playing games. So the cape rubric is 5 questions we ask ourselves. And if one of us says yes to them, that means that they are, higher up in the rubric. So for example, the first question is, if one of us opted to wear a cape, and you can't really tell, but I did not choose to wear a cape today. So, I immediately, that's 1 question down for the rubric, and I have to go on to the next one until we reach a point where we just, roll off. We roll 2d6 and we figure out who wins, unless we tie and then we have to re-roll. So that is what the cape rubric is. So the very first question, like I said, is whoever opted to wear a cape, and I did not wear a cape today.
Alas, I'm capeless at the moment. My character, I think, is going to wear more of a poncho situation than a cape, I think. But
I feel like that's more appropriate for the setting, so I totally understand that. And takes us to the next question: whichever character's cape is closest to the floor length without going over. And in the same vein, I think my character is wearing more or less like a bomber jacket, leather jacket sort of deal. Yeah, I feel like it's probably a little more practical. in this line of work. So the third question is whichever player owns a cape, and unfortunately, I do not own a cape. That's not.
No,
I
alas,
don't have
neither do I. I own multiple trench coats and others, but no capes.
Yeah.
Something that I really should remedy at some point.
Yeah, you know,
Feels like an oversight.
it does. You know, it does. It's not until the cape rubric that you really start questioning.
Right? You never think you need a cape, and then one day you're like, wait a minute, why don't I own a cape? Why haven't I picked up a cape before?
And honestly, I blame the stores for not having like a cape rack that I could just easily take one. I feel like we'd be better as a society if those existed.
As soon as the stream is done, I'm gonna go online, check capes.
So our fourth question is whichever player last wore a cape. I've never worn a cape. Never been a thing.
So I can't answer. So it's been years, but I have been to Ren fairs, and I have at Ren fairs worn capes, lent capes, but capes nonetheless.
Oh, there you go. Well, when it comes to priority, Dan, you are our winner. You are the last person. I've never worn a cape. And Dan,
there we go.
Oh, starts with our priority.
That's that old age and experience showing through in my case. There we go.
You know, it's just there's a run fair near me. I just have never gone. So honestly, that's on me for having never gone to run fair. All right. So, next we have advantages. We are both going to choose two, but we're going to alternate from these two. So these the advantages in question are things like the element of surprise, superior weaponry, the high ground, and reinforcements on the way, desperation. Those are the kind of advantages we're looking for here. The question at hand is, in what ways does your character have an upper hand in the battle? Which follow your duel? And again, no mechanical edges. These are simply narratively, we have advantages here.
Incorporate into the story, yeah. So since I won the rubric, I get to choose whether I want to start with priority or if I want to be the first person to choose an advantage. And I think I'm gonna choose to start with priority, so you get to pick the first advantage.
All right. I think my I just saw one of the options is superior fashion, and I think that's very funny. I think the element of surprise, just to go narratively with where we're at. Yeah. I think that's what I get first.
Yeah, I straight up was not expecting you. I, being a military synth, I think will take superior weaponry.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Like, I think it makes sense that he is, he is a weapon. So yeah.
Yeah. I will say I think opponent in compromising situation.
Ooh.
And so that is my last one.
All right. And then I will select to be taller than your opponent. I mean, sure. I'm actually, you know what? Might be. Let me see. Wait. I already have. Yeah, I'm gonna extensive training for this particular fight. No, the other ones don't really familiar territory, maybe. But honestly, I kind of like I'm just taller than you are.
You know, that's fair. Look, better weaponry, and one of them is that you're taller than me.
Yeah,
it simply is what it is. That's a perfect one. I have a friend who has chosen who's short in real life, and in every game she plays, she must be tall to live out that fantasy.
Yeah. Ever since I realized that, look, my driver's license says I'm 5'8", and then I actually measured myself like a year ago and realized I'm actually 5'7", and that shook my core conception of myself. just completely shook me. So now it's like I will never play a character under 6 feet because I'm just a little guy
Understandable.
in real life. It turns out.
It turns
Just a
out
little guy.
that 1 inch, just that was it. That was
Yeah, yeah. At 5'8", I was just kind of like, yeah, on the low side of average. 5'7", just a little guy. Just a little
just a
guy.
little guy. What are you gonna do? Just a little guy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So our next, so kind of almost following and staying on topic, we have clothing. We specify
Hmm.
2 or more details about our clothing. And I think we've kind of given one of the details. Me with my kind of waterproof bomber jacket, and yours with your poncho. Do you want to keep
Yep.
with poncho, or would you like to
Oh yeah,
expand on
yeah.
that?
No, this is it's a poncho. It's a heavy plastic like yellow poncho, stained
Oh,
and dirty with like the grime of the filthy rain in the city. Um, Underneath that though, think um I think he would be wearing a sort of shabby kind of almost like professor getup, like
oh,
tweed, like the little those little things on the little like leather scuff
the
leather,
patches,
things on the
yeah.
yeah, the little patches, like that sort of thing. But like again, worn, dirty, like clearly he's been wearing that same outfit for God knows how long.
Is it fitted to you or
It's probably a little tight.
a little
It's
tight?
probably a little tight because yeah, like that, I think we're establishing that like as an early model military, like he's big,
Hmm.
tall. He's big and tall. Yeah, he's big and tall, and he's not wearing a big and tall suit. So it does button, but it's like it's a miracle it hasn't popped.
Those buttons fighting for their lives. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Um, I think we have the bomber jacket. The other probably staple piece is my character is wearing um long, heavy like combat boots that are old and worn, but made of good stuff. So like they're not cracked or anything. Just creased and it, noticeably worn. If you're looking, and just heavy, I think is a good word to kind of describe what they're like. Um,
Mhm.
Along with the bomber jacket, and probably wearing underneath just probably something quick, like just what I was probably wearing in the moment, or like probably an old worn t-shirt. That definitely probably is like a sleep t-shirt. And probably some, honestly, maybe like some pleather leggings. Um just something quick put on and something that'll fit in the combat boots. Um but the bomber jacket and the it's almost out of place if we weren't in like a Blade Runner setting where everything is a little fucked up looking. um let's see. So now we have our weapon. We know what we look like, but what is our weapon?
So, especially since that's like, if you show superior weaponry, there should be a point. So, I mean, built in, right, Synth, I think having worked together, you definitely know what his weaponry is. So basically, I'm thinking kind of robo cannon arm. Like he has a normal arm, but it can
Uh,
kind of, the wrist goes down and the stock extends out, and it's like a pulse rifle kind of thing.
I like it. And probably for my character, I know your character. I
Mhm.
know the way you fight, and I know you have this robo arm, and that you're just like physically imposing. Um,
Like you probably have something that is effective again, whether it's some kind of like
yeah,
EMP style weapon or something that it's like if I need to disable this thing, I can, right?
yeah. I
Like going out there
think.
with a 9 millimeter would not would not be the move.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm for chasing, probably something that shoots fast.
Mhm.
But also not heavy because I'm probably not allowed to have whatever I have. Um, it's definitely on the low. So it's probably going to have to be um probably like a 3 round, like a Derringer or something like that, but appropriate for the setting. So something that
Like we
packs.
can go, like
Mhm.
we can go kind of high tech. Like there might be like whatever projectile it shoots is some kind of like virus, basically. Like to me, like if it hits me, it it just like overwrites my code or shuts me down or whatever, like that kind of thing. Like
Yeah, yeah,
could
but
be
only if I hit you in like the right spot.
right,
Otherwise,
right, right.
it's just you kind of like shrug it off. Your robo immunity system will just
Like it might be like a
fuck it
only
off.
headshots count. Like just because movie wise also just yeah, of course only headshots count. But like yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
If you shoot a synth in the head with one of these, it fries their their positronic brain or whatever.
exactly. And again, in this game, we don't ever fight. We don't
Right. No,
actually
exactly. Like this is
fight.
all like set up, but it's like yeah, it's just like this is what
This
we
is
brought to the fight. But
the
yes.
threat of
Mhm. In fact, the game very specifically says so. Like once you get to the point where the fight would break out, if you really want to play that, turns out there's a whole bunch of tabletop RPGs out there that you can that have actual combat mechanics. That feel free, go ahead.
it's like you just know that at some point, like it's a danger. You just have to know it's
Mhm,
the
mhm.
literal gun on the table. Like that is
Exactly, exactly.
what this is. All right,
It
so
makes sense. We're both basically packing weapons that, like, technically, my weapon is quote unquote superior because it's a pulse cannon. Like, it can knock down walls. But technically, we both have weapons that can take the other out.
yeah, it's almost like they're designed to do what they do. One to
Hmm,
take out
hmm.
people, one to take out synths. Um, So, our next thing we need to think about is our inventory. We get to choose 2 or more items that we have on our person. These things can be like fashion accessories, utilitarian value like boot knives, armored pauldrons, trinkets from our past, and or our opponent's past. So there's some interesting things we can choose here. Again, these are items that are going to help us with this kind of escalation that we have here. Again, we're 2 synths, or we're a Blade Runner and a synth, with a vengeful versus forgiving relationship, where we work together for a while, in probably as Blade Runner and assistant, who was a combat synth. So, we were in there, we were in the nitty gritty. We started off from the bottom and we made it to a certain point until, at some point we had to split. And now we're in the point where I am chasing down a synth that is probably breaking down. So what would we have on each other? What would we have that, especially that would advance the story?
Yeah. So I keep coming back to the thought of like our last case, like the
Hmm.
case that basically ended up like ending our careers effectively.
Yeah.
Um, and you know in typical cyberpunk and noir fashion, like shit went south like really 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 bad.
Yeah.
um and I'm thinking of tying that into why like the synth is going around. That's part of what you recognize, like wait a minute, he's taking out people involved with that case. All right.
Mm.
So I'm thinking like shit went down. We were probably either set up or betrayed or something along those lines.
Hmm.
And and at that point, like we both made decisions. I'm not sure what those decisions were yet, but we both made decisions. So and because noir and cop stories, people died,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking probably somebody important to both of us. Got either
Mm,
caught in crossfire or was involved, not entirely sure. The reason I'm bringing all that because I'm thinking that my character, one of the things that he would have is like a memento of that person, of either the person or a person that died.
mhm.
Like whether it's a locket or a picture or or even just like a newspaper clipping from like you know obituary. I was like death announcement obituary. There's a word for that. But like yeah, something along those lines, but something specifically that I want it to be something that when the Blade Runner like sees it, it very quickly or immediately recognizes what it is, right? So that's why like a newspaper clipping, it's like you're not gonna hand it over to you to read. Like it's got to be something that as soon as you see that either the locket around my neck or the bracelet around my wrist or something like that, it clicks that it's like that belonged to the person that we lost.
I'm thinking maybe our contact, like it was a long-term kind of case we were chasing. Like it's something that
Mhm.
over several months we were getting closer and closer to figuring out the resolution to this case, and we had a contact that had a connection with whomever we were trying to bust. And because they are our contact and we just constantly kept going back to them and back to them and back to them, there was a rapport there and a relationship that kind of, um, you know, grew a rapport, a friendship almost, despite kind of like the relationship there of cop and
Mhm,
contact.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, definitely like there's somebody that it mattered to us that that person like got caught in the crossfire and that we
what if
probably like have some feelings of like oh shit this is my fault.
it wasn't even that sinister, but our
Mhm.
contact was somebody in the group or whatever we were trying to bust? And when finally we got to the point of just like, hey, we got him, let's go get him. And we brought in the force, not just us two, but like
Mhm.
we had backup. And when we get there, they're in the mix, our contacts in the mix. And we didn't know they were going to be there, and they probably weren't even supposed to be there. But we show up full force, guns drawn, taking down people because apparently people in the Blade Runner universe don't really have a care for preservation of life. So we, everyone starts bringing stuff down, and then we notice our contact there, and it's just we try to like stop the situation from going down, and we're like, don't shoot them, not them, not them. And because I would say we probably never hit it big. We were still probably close to essentially a beat
Mhm.
cop, or like
Mhm.
a low tier detective sort of deal. No one listened to us, and our contact was still a gun down, and maybe you turned to shoot them or I turned to shoot them and the other one stopped. Shoot our guys.
Mhm. Yeah, I like the idea that like yeah the contact like again we had kind of developed a friendship maybe like this was a contact we'd worked with for a while right this case had been going on, um then when they get taken down that was like the first time right that like I kind of malfunctioned. You saw me turning to like attack fellow officers
Yeah.
and you kind of had to like take me down at that moment and then and from there on yeah that case like we just went to shit like we
Yeah.
both like that might have been when you lost your license or at the very least like the decline of the rest of your career probably they probably blamed you because hey you can't blame the robot right it's the human's fault, so
Yeah.
they probably blamed you for this and also oh you got one of our contacts killed. It was a whole mess, career
Yeah.
ending. Meanwhile I got like put in a box and shipped off, uh,
Exactly.
so
And
yeah,
so
that could be like yeah.
something like that went down. Yeah, yeah, And so if we were attached to this contact, do you think like someone around, I was gonna say our age, but someone probably around your supposed age and my age, probably like late 20s, early 30s at that point. I mean, probably like hung out together. One of those sessions where we stopped by, tried to get some questions, and we just, we were offered some tea and we just stuck around, and hung out. And that's probably like a really good memory of ours. So something probably from that night.
Could be how about a lighter? Like a nice little like kind
a
of
nice
banged
Zippo.
up, but still
I like
like
it.
a Zippo with like a recognizable, some kind of recognizable engraving, like a skull with
Yeah.
an eye patch or something that it's like makes it very recognizable. Like that was his lighter.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Um,
All right, so
I
that's my object. Now
yeah.
we still gotta pick three more, two for you, one for me. Um,
I would say, maybe I might still carry around something that looks like a badge. Like probably where the badge used to be, and if you see it on my belt loop, like, oh, I'm not even gonna make them like, I don't even have to pull it out and show it like, hey, I'm police, just so I can get into places I'm not supposed to.
right,
So I probably have something like that. Um,
like the wallet, but no badge inside, basically.
exactly. Or maybe like a really shitty replica of
Right,
a
right.
badge. Um, and I'm trying to think. I kind of want something that was yours, something that
Mm-hmm.
you had, that got left behind when you just immediately got shipped out. Um, because I'm assuming you would have had probably like your own desk at that point, or like your own
Mm-hmm.
corner of my office, cubicle, whatever it might be. Um, so I kind of want something that was yours, something that you left behind, that I have a complicated relationship with now when I look at it.
How about like a paperback book of some kind,
Oh,
right? Because that could have been like like the kind of thing that like would have gotten made fun of a little like at the precinct, if you will. Like, oh, look at the
yeah.
robot, look, it's trying to read. But
Some like
like, yeah, well,
mass market paperback.
right. It was like nothing great,
Mm.
no great piece of literature, but like some kind of mass market paperback, and like we would discuss it. Like you knew I was reading it. I was like, so what do you think? And I would like regurgitate the chat GPT like summary
Yeah.
of the book. But like still like nobody told me to read the book. It was just something like you showed up one day and there's the synth, just like reading a book like a real human boy.
And probably you read it all the like you read it so fast that you just kept reading it all the time.
Right, right.
And it's like, what do you
But
think you're
also
gonna
like it's
get out
still
of
like a
it?
physical paperback book. It's like
Yeah,
you can just download to your direct to your brain.
get the ebook. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
I like that. So yeah, which book do you think it would be?
Like the obvious choices are something like Asimov and whatnot, but I don't really want to go full on. Like I don't think it's a full on like, oh, what is the nature of consciousness or anything like some
What if
cheap paperback like
what
some
if
like a
it's like
Robert Ludlum novel like something.
what if it's even like a fairy tale book, you know?
Yeah, right. Just something like fantasy based, like
Yeah.
just like some a cheap, like could be like something, could be a classic, like kind of like the Conan, like that sort of thing. Because those books were also like very much like just pulp.
Yeah.
So
I
like
like
something pulpy.
I think something with multiple morals of the story. Like there is something as a human you would gather, like, this is teaching you the lesson to just like never trust strangers or never like believe that you're gonna get something back from something that like someone who was programmed probably isn't gonna pick up. They're gonna take it a little literally, like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of course a scorpion's gonna sting you.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they? And it's like, no, that's not the point of the, like, it's not that it will sting you, it's that, you know, like something like that. And that's why you keep rereading it to kind of like, what am I not getting here? The like the cliff notes say that this is what this means, but nowhere in this passage does it say that. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah. Can't think of what that story is, but yes,
Yeah.
that kind of
Something
story,
along those
yes.
lines. Yeah. Something
Yeah.
with a moral of the story that you never understood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least then, you know, who knows where you're at
Right.
now. But then I like that. I like that. So what would be your last trinket or item?
You know what? I think some kind of like police radio. So kind of like a pocket
Oh.
police radio. Like even though like I have the electronics built into me technically probably to like tune in to the local police radio. But you know what? This is a cyberpunk future, so there's probably a reason why it's a bad idea for me to do that. Like, oh yeah, I don't want like my ID showing up on the net or whatever. So like
Yeah.
I have a little like pocket like cop radio, so that's part of it. Like you can hear the static and like, you know, precinct 68, that sort of thing coming from like my back pocket.
Probably that you stole from one of the
Yeah, probably
one
that
of
I
the
took
guys.
from like one of my victims. Yeah.
And you know, just for flavor, I also I'm gonna take sunglasses. Just like nice normal bulky sunglasses to have on.
Nice.
All right, that's inventory. So we are getting to the end of kind of discussing where we are, who we are, what we have. We have the circumstances of our encounter, which we've kind of already covered. This is basically like the opening. You know, one of the characters turns the corner and makes eye contact with the other. An elevator door opens that you're waiting for, and you see them. How the initial contact begins, you know, that is kind of what our circumstances are. I think we've pretty much discussed it, right? I don't think there's anything.
I mean, yeah, I think
else here?
from the options presented in the book, I think the closest one to the situation we have is like the trap, because you basically got me surprised. You've got me dead to rights, right? So I think out of the opening options that it gives us, I think that's the one that better fits. So it's the challenge or the chance encounter.
Yeah, because it's not chance.
No, exactly. Like you knew where I would be, or where you suspected I would be, and in fact found me and like got me by surprise. So like effectively sort of like, okay, there he is, so I'm gonna kind of block his exit from here and kind of come through here.
Yeah. So the trap is, this opening designates one character, the trapper, and the other as someone they've trapped. Within the narrative, the trapper chooses a location and tricks the trapped into beginning the duel at a disadvantage. Out of character, players should review the options they selected during the background section and decide on the compelling time and location for the trap. The player who starts without priority is the trapped, while the player with priority is the trapper.
Technically, like like I got priority, but I think we can kind of futz around with that a little.
Yeah, and also
like narrative trumps that.
I think you started malfunctioning before that moment with the contact,
Mhm.
because despite being tactical, um one of the things that I started noticing is that you chose strategically terrible places for us to like have our stakeouts. Um, Whereas in the beginning of us having those moments, you would always like choose something that was wildly inconvenient for me as a human to get to.
Mhm.
But it was just like, this is the best, this is the best angle because of blah, 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 blah. Um,
Yeah.
but at nearing the end of our tenure together, you started choosing terrible spots, because I don't think I would set up a trap for you, but I think you would
Mhm.
accidentally get yourself in a terrible position,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
how I knew to choose this alleyway or this kind of like um, dead end location, because that's the kind of thing you would have done near the end of our time together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I think we still give priority to you, because it's not necessarily a trap. I don't have any tricks up my sleeve here in
Right.
this
Right.
situation, but rather, um, I think you are simply in a bad place and
Exactly.
weren't expecting
Exactly.
me. It's a surprise. It's a surprise opening. It's
Mhm.
what it really should be. Um, so
Actually,
we
no.
get to
Technically, you. Well, no, no. I was gonna say sorry. I was just really like I did keep priority, so you chose the first thing. So yeah, but still, anyway, like I'm just thinking, like game mechanic wise, it doesn't really matter that much now that I'm reading through it, so it's fine. Yeah.
Let's see. So choose together whether you want to roll a die or answer questions. Um, so is the question, how do you approach the situation, I guess?
Hmm. Yeah, how do you approach the situation? Yeah, I guess basically, yeah, we each like kind of read this quietly, and then I guess we'll just basically make that'll be like the first effectively like exchange. Like we each choose an option, and we'll test
Yeah,
out the system.
exactly. So, um,
So
for
ask the trap.
fact for the viewers, as the trapped, could you read out your three options?
Sure, sure, sure. So I said we'll choose one in secret, but yeah, definitely for since we're doing this as a show. So as the trapped, my three options are to thrust. So our in every turn we'll each, as you mentioned earlier, like, right, we'll choose either to thrust, feint, or parry. And so the three options here are shown as thrust is I try to strike quickly and in a metaphorical sense through posture or wit, hit them before they can execute their trap. If I choose to feint, then I'm trying to take advantage of my seemingly disadvantageous position by calling attention to the trap, then revealing that I am more prepared than my opponent expected. Or if I choose to parry, then I'm trying to anticipate the trap, revealing a cunning plan that I had to evade it all along.
And as the trapper, as you choose one, I have one thrust. I tried to follow through on my trap, seizing the opportunity for insult or posturing that it set me up for. Two, we have feint. I tried to bait my opponent into an intense, vulnerable reaction by highlighting how easily they fell for my trap or how effectively it trapped them. Or three, parry. I tried to take advantage of how the trap allowed me to prepare, anticipating their possible responses to the trap well beforehand and preparing a counter at each one.
Right, so time to choose our moves.
And so, again, the way we play this game is we are doing sort of a rock, paper, scissors system where we get to choose either thrust, feint, or parry. And feint beats or thrust beats feint beats parry beats thrust. So we'll see that in play, and that'll make more sense as we go. And when one of us wins, when if I choose thrust and Dan chooses feint, then I win that point, essentially. And so that means that now I get to, have that moment of revealing what happens during that turn, or, the person who has priority in that moment. Again, priority kind of is now going to go back and forth between us. So the person with priority is going to get the tiebreakers. The person with priority kind of just gets the advantage in the situation. The numbers fall on their side, essentially. So we're going to go until we each or until one of us reaches 9 points. Once we reach 9 points, we reach the resolution. We have our little exposition, or our soliloquy, essentially, and we finish the game there before the first blow lands, essentially. At 8 points, we draw our weapon. So, things are going to escalate as we continue on. So to start off with, we're going to have this, and then we're going to go about our ways. So to start off with, black bar is activated. Oh, what's the name of your character?
Oh, right.
We should probably come up with a
I
name.
actually wrote one down. So my
Oh,
character, so his sort of code name is Jax, Jacs, and then a string of numbers. But he had chosen the name Leopold. It is not official and
oh,
is not on any of the documents. Again, as a synth, his official designation is Jax dash string of numbers.
yeah.
But the name he chose to call himself by was Leopold.
Leopold. Oh, snap. All right. We're going to go Leopold. And in parentheses, I'm going to put Jax. Just so if that comes up, Oh, this, hold on. I need to copy this. I put this in incorrectly. Oh, I didn't put that in incorrectly. This got put in incorrectly. This is, I want you, just the record to show, not my fault. This is in fact the fault of OBS for doing this to me at this moment in time. So what pronouns do they use?
He, him, they, them.
Leopold. I like it. I think my character's name is going to be, oh, it's same pronouns. Nice. Thank you for making that easy for me. I think my character's name is going to be, oh my gosh, I thought I changed something incorrectly. I did not. We're gonna go with Leopold. Your name is Leopold. I'm gonna go with, I think, like, with Bex. I think Bex would be a good solid name. Short for probably Becca, or Rebecca, but that is not how I will respond. I will not identify with that name. And pronouns, you know what? Same pronouns, just for me, to make that easy. All right, let's bring this down. Let me move you over. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to struggle. I'm just going to hit enter and make that go down. And I'm excited. So first move, I say it still goes to you. Just with the knowledge that I have caught you off guard and am actively have the high ground. All right, so you've chosen your first move. I shall choose my first move. And let me are you ready for the
Oh yeah.
for the reveal? We have I moved my OBS to fix something. Let me put you back to where you were.
Aha.
Amazing.
So, but I have priority to start with. So technically, I win
Yes.
this one.
Yes.
Hooray! So
Hooray.
then, so then, with the feint on that one specifically, I try to take advantage of my seemingly disadvantageous position by calling attention to the trap and revealing that I am more prepared than my opponent expected. Um, so let's see here. Um, I mean, with that in mind, I think then first, like, you should probably, like, you're still taking me by surprise. We established, like, I'm still technically taken by surprise. So technically, I think you would probably start off, and then that's
I
where I get to like faint around.
Yeah, I'll get the first word in, but you get the last laugh in
Yeah,
the situation.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So the you're hiding out um in your little cubby hole in this alley, kind of just probably shrinking away. um I would say decompressing from what just went down, but I mean, you probably don't have to decompress. Maybe you have to like do like a diagnostics on yourself to figure out like what's still okay.
Mhm, mhm.
As as you're there kind of worrying about yourself for a moment, the beep beep zzzz, wah, 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 things happening out in the background. A car exhaust goes off particularly loudly, almost like a shot, as it drives by. It catches your attention enough that you turn an eye to see what made that noise. And as you notice it's a car, you relax a little bit, but as the car moves away from the street, in between cars, you get a snapshot of me. And is it like your vision failing? What's happening here? And then the next car moves and you see me again. I'm slightly closer. Um, until I have crossed the street and I'm at the opening of this alleyway and I'm looking at you and you're looking at me. Um, and I look at you and I say, long time no see. I knew I'd find you here.
And Leopold. So Leopold was kind of like crunched down at sort of the end of the alley. I'm gonna say it's kind of a dead end kind of alley. Like there's a not barbed wire, but just like a cyclone fence there, like dividing the alley. Like it still technically goes on, but it's effectively a dead end without climbing over. So he was like crouched down near the end. Um, it almost looks like he was trying to pretend to be a bag of trash with like his sort of filthy poncho kind of pulled down and him hunched over. But you also it's a position that you've seen him take in the past. Like he would like kind of like do a sort of kneel and do like this to like to run his diagnostics. So when you step up and introduce, say hi, basically, um, Leopold, at first it appears like he doesn't react, but you know him well enough to recognize how it is when he's the few times that you'd ever seen him surprised. You kind of can recognize the hesitation. Like there's a moment where he like starts lifting his head and it kind of almost like jerks down and goes back up, as if he was processing the new information. um and when he comes up, you don't see his eyes. His the poncho is kind of covering his eyes. You sort of see the lower half of his face, which looks identical to the last time you saw him. It's it looks human. It's a clean shaven, very sort of square jawed. Like his whole line of models was a military line, right? So they were kind of like made to look very soldiery. Um,
Yeah.
there's and when the problem is like it's square jaw to the point where, like, again, at first glance looks human, but he was early generation. It's enough that it's like to the people who know, it's like, oh, that's the model, that's that face model. Yeah, like, it
Hmm.
still looks like a human, but you clearly recognize, like, yeah, that's the face model for that model of robot, for that model of synth rather. So you see that, and you see that as he looks up, there is a half smirk on his lips. Like his lips are kind of half quirked up in what appears to be amusement, which, of course, again, on a sense expression, it feels off.
Hmm.
Uh, and you hear his voice, which sounds perfectly human, because of course they do. And he's like, Bex, I was wondering how long it'd take you to find me, and turns out you're well within calculations as ever.
And I look at you, and and just like the almost amused smirk that I had when you first saw me stop at the mouth of this alleyway, kind of like transforms from that uh amusement to just immediately a scowl, as I furrow my brows at you. And we enter our second move.
Yeah, so basically that's the game. Now we kind of go
Yeah,
back and forth
back
like
and
this and
forth.
see how it goes. All
Let's see.
right,
Oh,
let me see.
let me also give you your point.
Yep. And then you now take priority.
Yep. All right. Um. All
All
right.
right.
We had faint draw before. The question is going to be, what have we chosen? Drum roll.
Oh,
Oh, thrust.
and this was on
Another.
you.
And this one is on me because I have priority. So as I scowl and you make it clear that this isn't as much as a surprise as it was meant to be, um, this hatred that I have um in my soul at this point for you, this hatred that's been bubbling for a while about the situation we found ourselves in the past, about um what happened to my career, what happened to you, everything unresolved begins to bubble. There is a heat rising, and I take a move to be I know who you are. I know what you do. I don't know where we land with each other, but I know you've been killing people from that day. So and you just said you knew. You were expecting me, but I'm also not one to back down from a fight, right? In fact, that's not how you know me. So I immediately push forward into the alleyway, running in until I am behind one of the dumpsters. Um, to use that as cover. You may have a cool cannon arm, but it still takes a while to reveal and then to prime to shoot. So, I may have a little time to prepare, um, but I'll have enough to be able to duck down if need be. So I push forward, back against the wall, crouched a little. You still see me. I'm not crouched behind completely, so I'm obscured from you. And I yell over to you. That's not going to fix anything. You couldn't fix it then, you can't fix it now.
And yeah, Leopold, as you started moving, his mouth was open. In fact, as soon as you started moving, you saw that he was starting to stand up from his kneeling position. But it wasn't like the lightning fast moves that you can expect from from a military grade synth. It was like a slow, almost unfurling as he rises up to his full, like, let's say, like nearly 7 foot height. He is unnaturally tall. Not just taller than you. He is like just unnaturally tall.
Yeah.
But also, yes, distinctly taller than you.
Okay.
And yeah, just putting that, making sure we make a note of that. And but no, so he stands up to his full height, and as those kind of words come in, his mouth closes and you see his smirk kind of fade a little, and he's like, it's not about fixing it. It was never about fixing it. And yeah, that'll be the next round.
Ooh. All right, moving on to the next round. What will happen? What will we pick? All right, let's see.
Aha.
Oh.
So parry beats feint?
Feint beats parry.
Oh, feint beats parry. Hey. All right, so let's see. Feint win. Victor offers provocation or bait, and the loser took. Feint beats parry, but loses to thrust. Okay. And I have technically in this round I had priority. Not that it matters, but just to keep track, right? So as Leopold kind of has that like almost bitter reaction to your words, that's when he too kind of steps to the side, kind of gaining sort of partial cover behind a doorway, the side of the alley, because of an inset door, and he can just kind of push himself into it, as he calls out, so yeah, he calls out, so if you found me already, does that mean you found the list, Bex? I thought you'd wait until I got around to the part of it where you're listed. It's still far too early.
And I look at you and you see almost like a taken aback look, almost as if Bex hadn't considered that you would go after her, almost as if that's not really what she was thinking at all by going against this vendetta. And I replied, that's that's what this is all about? A list? Clearly off kilter. And we move forward once more.
Yeah.
I have 1,000 things open. Sorry, this is taking me a little bit.
All good.
On to the next round.
All right.
All right. What happens next?
Oh,
Oh, a parry into a thrust. A parry beats thrust.
indeed.
So with an aggressive, with that aggression, suddenly my actual guard is up. I was worried about what you had,
Hmm.
weapon wise, as obvious by my immediate repositioning. But now that you've mentioned the list, I look at you stealing myself once again, walking half where you could see half of me, and the other half is obscured by this dumpster. While I may not be an imposing 7 foot, I'm still at least taller than this dumpster, at somewhere around a 5'8", 5'9", especially in these combat boots. And I look at Leopold and say, Alyssa, yours were the one who did the paperwork. Where do you land on that list, Jax?
Um, yeah, and Leopold was I think the mention of his model name, like you probably never called him that. Like maybe once when we first met, it's like just and not really calling him that, just like, oh, so your model number is or your model name is this. Like it was always like, what's your name? Leopold. Okay, cool. That's what you want to be called. Got it. So yeah, so that definitely as he had been like tried to get more aggressive, tried to like put you off kilter with mention of this list. You kind of see again that hesitation, like he looked like he was maybe going to show himself from his little half cover spot. He kind of like twitches a little, and when you hear his voice, over the sound of the traffic and noise outside, there is a a bitterness to it, bitter edge to it. He goes, "My place on that list has been there since the day I came out of the factory."
Um, and as you say that, I'm just like, you've always been so dramatic. As we enter into our next move, we're so far 2-2.
Well done.
All right. Feint into parry.
I believe feint beats parry.
Feint does beat parry. Oh, I
Yeah,
chose feint.
yeah. So you win.
Let's see. Kind of going off of your statement, I come out around uh, from the dumpster, and I start like swaggering towards like straight down the middle of the alley, not going for anything, almost casual, the way I'm walking down, but with a distinct edge of danger, that all your sensors would be tingling on. Your spidey senses off the chart.
Mhm.
This may look casual, but there is nothing casual about it. As I walk towards you, and I I reach for my pocket um inside my bomber jacket, deliberately going across my body as if almost to look like I'm going for a gun, which definitely would ping off your sensors until you remember that I always complained about that in movies, about how they would make this dramatic gesture to grab a weapon from across their body when it's so much more efficient to get it from that same side of the body. Something that we bonded over back when we
Mhm.
watched movies back in the day. And as I look at you and there's alarm, I just raise an eyebrow at you as I take out um, this cheap mass market book, half falling apart. As I take it out, I grab it with my other hand and I start flipping through it. And I'd say, you know, you always read through this thing, and I've read it once or twice since you were shipped off. And I kept wondering what you wanted to find in this thing. Thinking you never really got it. Never really got it. And I stop on a particular page and um this is a book, doesn't matter much to anyone, not really, but it means something to both of us and anyone who probably would see it. Just some cheap and knockoff book that you would find at the bottom of a bargain bin. And I stop on this page and I take a moment to read it, um, just to myself until I look up back at you. I should have known then that you were no different than those bags of bolts that we chased down back then. And I throw the book at your feet, um, as I continue to like swagger towards you, just staring you down.
So yeah, as you kind of swaggered over, like, and you started reaching across, um, with my intention having been to parry, you basically see that when you make that attempt, part of the reason why you get to give him that sort of like really look is because you see his hand twitch towards a trash can cover that was nearby, as if he had intended to kind of lift it up to like deflect something.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't actually do the move, but like the fact that he reacted as if, like that alone, that's embarrassing. If he could blush, he would be. Like it's embarrassing. He should know better. And it clearly showing that you got under his synth skin. Um, and when the book lands at his feet, he lifts his head a little so you finally see his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reflection of the lights from the street, almost like eye shine, kind of like like cats have,
Mm. Yeah,
just
yeah,
for
yeah.
just like a brief flash of that from the lights on the street, as he, while keeping eye contact with you, like slowly goes down to one knee and picks up the book, and without breaking eye contact, he just kind of pulls it under his poncho, basically, kind of just like sneaks it off, and his voice, now sort of a softer mutter, goes, "I just wanted to figure out how you all ticked."
And I'll leave that there for our next move.
Mhm.
Move to next round.
All right.
Ooh, same time. All
Yeah.
right. Ooh, a feint and a thrust. Oh, thrust beats feint.
Yeah.
So kind of taking advantage of this, kind of having you a little bit off kilter as much as I can. You know, there was only one thing I really had going for me in our dynamic. And that's that I was always a little bit more sharp tongued than you were. So as a as you stand there with your pitiful shield, muttering to yourself, I look around at you. Well, you know how things started ticking after you left? I'm sure with that little list you've done research. See where each one of us are. Davis, Leonard, Joe. Hold on. Dramatic pause. We all are just always been that to you, haven't we? Tried to figure out how we tick, but now you're figuring out how we tick in a different way. It's like everyone else we've ever come across. First instinct always to shoot first. Always to move first. Even now, with your little list, attacking when we don't even know you're coming after us.
Um, and yeah, Leopold again keeps his eyes like just locked on you now, barely moving as you go off, and he you see his like his fingers in the fingers of his of the arm that you know is the one that turns into like the cannon, like he just like gives him a little flex, without really moving his arm, but like there's that little like sort of like flexing his fingers, which is completely unnecessary. That's in fact not how it works. Like the whole wrist goes down, but never mind. Yes, as you said, he's very dramatic. And and uh, he goes, huh, seems like you're forgetting a name or two on that list.
Well, you're only getting started, aren't you? Let's move on to the next round.
Yes.
All right. Oh, I forgot to turn this off. Feint into thrust. Where's the thing? Thrust beats feint.
All right. Uh, so as he says, they're forgetting a name or two on that list. You see his other hand. He very specifically chooses like the hand that is not a weapon, and brings it up. And again, yeah, you see again that little smirk almost start to come back as he reaches up, and he makes, again, very dramatic. He makes a show of like see, just empty hand, and like reaches into his poncho and pulls out, strangely enough for a synth, pulls out a pack of cigarettes. And as he pulls it out, he then reaches up with the other, pulls out one cigarette, puts it between his lips, and then reaches into the case, which was apparently with the box itself, and pulls out the lighter, which you immediately recognize especially as he flicks it and sparks it up, and just takes a long drag directly at you. Doesn't say a word otherwise.
And I say, you son of a bitch. As you finish up with the Zippo and make a move of putting it away, my eyes track the Zippo.
Mhm.
And move to the next round. All right. For those of you, a penalty card has been played. So the penalty move is is when you don't play fair. There, in every interaction, there's things that a decorum that is followed, even when you're two people who are going to be fighting. In this case, this penalty move is where you're just utterly disrespectful to your opponent. And so in this case, I rolled a penalty move. So what I do is, hold on. Do I need to roll, or can I just do whatever the fuck I want here?
Yeah.
I do roll. Okay. So I need to roll 2d6. We're just going to have to trust me on this one. Oh, for those of you who follow my other doc game, I finally found the die I dropped about 2 months ago. Finally found it while I was not looking for it, nor even cleaning. I just stumbled upon it. So I have it here at hand. I only have 1d6. So this is based off of penalty score. So if I roll above my current score, below my current score, or exactly my current score, are different results. So I need to roll, oh boy, I need to roll 4. Yeah, we're rolling around 4. And I rolled a 3 and a 4, so I rolled a 7. So I have rolled above my current score, which means I fail. And your opponent scores 1 point and has priority next turn, which you already had, even if they had it this turn. All right, so the way I attempt this disrespectful move on this turn, I what I do is I try to as I'm next to this dumpster, I try to take some of the gunk that is on the side, something that has spilled at some point that's recently, that it's still kind of damp, especially in this damp environment that it never stops raining in these kinds of cities. So I try to grab this gunk and throw it straight at your face. And I'll say I do throw it, and it doesn't tend to hit its mark, but and I do that. And as I say, you son of a bitch, that's when I throw it.
Yeah, since technically I won that one. So Leopold doesn't flinch. Like the clod of just grime like flies right past his face and kind of splats against the wall right next to him. And he doesn't even flinch. He like takes a cigarette out, which again he can't like he inhaled and it does nothing for him. Like it's purely an affectation at this point, but he like again kind of gives a little smirk and just puts the cigarette out into in the gunk. Like just like smushes it out in the gunk, throws it down and goes, so I guess I'm not the only one malfunctioning in my old age, am I? Huh, Bex?
And basically just snarl at you that mention.
Mhm, mhm.
So we move to the next round. Reveal our next move. Feint into thrust. Thrust beats feint.
Hooray. Yeah, so now that he's got you kind of like more off balance there, uh he sort of pushes away from the walls. So now he's kind of standing also in the middle of the alleyway, although his back is to the fence, so he's still, still kind of backed into the alley, with Bex blocking his way. Um and and he goes, "Come on, Bex. I know your memory's still good enough to remember when Jimmy went down. You remember all the shots going out. You remember how we cried out, how we tried to stop them. They heard us. They knew what they were doing. They knew him. He was going to turn his life around. We were making a difference. Did they care? Nah, I thought you did. I thought you would have backed me. But next thing I know, I'm in a box, and I'm hearing you put me there. I was trying to do the right thing. What were you trying to do?"
I say, get your malfunctioning ass off the streets. As we move on to the next round. Hmm. All right. What do we get? Oh, a double parry.
But I think this turn you have priority because I had it last turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that goes to me. I panicked. I hit the priority button to switch our priority back and forth on that one. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, did I remember? I did. So, I take that and I say, you thought, you always thought, you always think you're right. You know, I saw. We worked together a long time. Always thought you were better than us. Knew better, advanced wiring. It's why it bothered you so much that I could never understand that book. What do you know about turning your life around? Look what you've done with yours. Going around doing exactly what we stopped others doing. Exactly why we jumped into that ring. Or did you forget that there were synths there too?
Uh, you see Leopold's smirk fade a bit as um he like purses his lips, and kind of lowers his head a little, once again hiding his eyes. As you can kind of see that it does bother him, as he once again his voice goes down to a bit more of a mutter. He goes, "It's because none of you ever made any sense. I read and I read, and none of you make any sense. You think I'm always right. You think I walk around thinking I'm better. I know I am. Okay? Math doesn't lie. When I did the math in my head, I got the right answer, but all of you, all of you keep getting answers that don't make any sense. I'm just trying to make things right before it's all over."
I'm like, and that's why we gotta take you down. It's the wrong page. Move to the next round. Who's gonna win? Right now, for those of you who can't really tell, we're in a tie. We're both 5-5.
Hey,
All right, making my move.
Oh, double thrust, but you have priority this time.
Uh, all right, so you see Leopold as he says, like, "None of you make any sense," and and then he suddenly like moves like lightning, like you've seen him move in the past. But it's not, it is an aggressive move, but it's not directly at you. Instead, he is all of a sudden on his knees, grabbed the book from that you threw at his feet, and then he's back up like in just a fraction of a second, just down and back, and he's got it back up and he's holding it, and his poncho kind of sways even though his body is rock still. A clearly inhuman movement, um, as he like holds the book like up and slightly forward, as if it was like a warding, like away. Um, but And he just kind of keeps going like, "None of you make any sense. None of this makes any sense. There was a story. Stories have a beginning, and they're supposed to go through, and they're supposed to have a proper ending, but none of you cared. He had a story. His story was just starting, and I don't understand why any of you wouldn't let that go on. So, if all of you are so happy and it's so easy for you to end another person's story, then why isn't it okay for me to end this one?"
And as I went to aggressively push, I also went to I took one step forward with the intention of going for another one, um, until you dashed forward to grab the book, which made me hesitate and pull back a little bit. And I look at you almost with sympathy, with pity, in a way that you know you've seen before, specifically with this book, specifically with other people, and sometimes with our friend. And that's all I do before my eyes harden again with a renewed conviction to deal with the situation.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see. Oh, thrust into parry.
Who had well, no, this doesn't matter who had advantage in this one, no priority in this one. So that's you. No, wait, no, that's
No,
me,
that's
right?
you. Yeah,
Parry
that's
meets
you.
thrust. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Um, I mean, if you don't mind kind of starting out, because since you're doing the sort of
Oh,
the aggressive move, yeah. Like
yeah.
I can kind of do the parry, but I think it works better if you do the
Um,
thrust.
absolutely. So everything's supposed to make sense.
Hmm.
I start off with, and that's the thing that you never understood out there with your binary ticking system, that not everything gets a good ending. Not everything gets an ending. Sometimes things just happen. Sometimes good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. You just have to live with it.
And as you say that line, you say you just have to live with it. Uh, you see his reaction is a little bit unexpected. He just smiles. He gives like a wide, like downright creepy smile, and he goes like, "Not all of us do. Some of us are the bad thing that happens to the good people. Some of us have that end put upon us. Some of us come off the factory line with that end already decided."
Ever the optimist.
All right.
All right.
Hmm.
Let's see. Oh, double fate. I think you have priority on this one. I'd have, hold on, let me count. You have
Yeah, let's double
7,
check. Yeah.
I have 5, 12. You started. Dan me, Dan me, Dan me, Dan me, Dan me, Dan me. Wait, Dan me, Dan me, Dan me, Dan me, Dan me, Dan me. Oh, I forgot to move that. That's priority on me. It's
So you
easy.
win this one.
It's easy to count because you went
Mhm.
first. So I just have to alternate until I get there. Um all right. Okay, so not all of us. Not all of us. Ever the optimist. And I like take a step back and I look up, arms out, and I twirl in this like drizzle that has started. I say, yeah, some of us were born with a fate intended. Newsflash, Leopold, we're all born with our past set ahead of us. You think in this shit city, we get to move up in the world? We get to change where we're gonna end up? start at school, go to school, you learn what you're bad at. You learn that you suck at one thing or another. But see, you never got that. That's what the difference between us is. Yeah, you saw when we were beat cops out there doing nothing, writing up parking tickets for people who will never pay them. Yeah, you saw that. So you got, I guess, a taste of what it's like to just be the grime on the city's foot. But some of us, Leopold, were born with that being our fates. To be on the streets, one way or another. And both you and I know what happens to people who stay on the streets. Some point or another, young or old, you're born on the streets and you die by the streets. So just because you were made in a little lab, little office by, and I point off to the pyramid, by some rich people with their lives already set ahead of them from the moment their silver spoon was placed in that mouth, doesn't mean that you're special and better than us. Oh, you were meant to die. Yeah, we all were. We were all set upon our paths. Leopold, we get to make some choices. But at the end of the day, we all end up in that trash heap.
And you kind of see like the words have an effect on him as he like kind of lowers his head further and further. And as you kind of finish, he's silent for a few seconds, and then almost in a whisper, still loud enough for you to catch it, uh, he just mutters, "Not all of you, though. Not all of you."
And this time I move priority before I forget.
Mhm.
Ooh, you have priority.
Mhm. Um, so yeah, so he can kind of continuing it from that. He mutters again, "Not all of you, not all of you," and then he kind of snaps his head back up, and you see again that eye shine in his eyes, and that,
Oh,
um,
this is 8, by the way.
yeah,
You're on
yeah,
8.
yes, yeah. So actually, so when I hit 8, I think I have to draw my weapon, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so let me integrate that into things. Hi, cat. Hi, perfect timing. Um, so he snaps his head back up suddenly, and you see that eye shine, and the suddenness of the movement is almost enough to distract you or to take your attention away from the fact that you also see his arm. Like he doesn't draw it up towards you, but
Mhm.
you see his arm cannon kind of like bulge and start the process of like activating you. As he's like cocking his arm gun basically, as he with his vision snapped forward like that, guys. Goes. What's the name I said? Was it Freddy?
Oh,
They
I
kind
don't
of
think
made
we
it
ever
up on
said
the
a name. Yeah.
no, I think I said his name was like I think in a previous one I said it was Freddie. It was either Freddie or Jimmy, one of those two things. So I'm gonna say it was probably Freddie. So
Nicknames exist. He can have more than one
yeah,
name.
exactly. Anyway, Freddie's the friend who died. And so he just like snaps that like his weapon activates like Freddie wasn't one of them. Freddie was about to turn it all around. Freddie was about to get out of the gutters. Freddie was doing it right, and none of you let him finish. None of you wanted. You were jealous, weren't you? You just can't bear to see it. You're full of that bitterness. I know the date. I know the moment when I end. None of you do. That's why you're afraid. That's why you can't bear to see anybody else rise up. I can't do that. If I try, if I make that choice, you shut me down. But at least your kind, you can make the choice. Not all of you rise, but some of you do? And why are you all so okay, so all right with watching the few things in this world that have a little bit of beauty die? Are you so small?
And as I stop my spinning and I look at you, um, start your diatribe, and I hear the telltale sound. Um, look, I'm taken aback. At how far this has gone, and I look at you and I say, not that it matters to you because you could see no matter if I had sunglasses on or not, but I take off my sunglasses and I flick them off in the direction of the dumpster, but we've moved past it at this point. And I continue to walk forward, as you say these words, and say, you don't hear them, but that doesn't stop me from saying them. I say, and this is why I had to ship you out in a box. As we move forward, what will happen? To give an idea of where we are, Dan is at 8. I'm at 6. So as soon as we hit 9, we the first shot is taken or about to be taken. It's primed and we cut off at the first shot. So
Yes.
what will happen as we move forward? Hold on, let me look at my fancy picture I took to see what beats what. Oh, let me also move priority before I forget. I'm gonna go in with that. All right. Oh, let me take off the draw. Reveal. Ooh, parry, but I
But
have
I think
priority
you
this
have priority.
round.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it didn't update up here. My bad, guys. That's on me because I don't know where this is. There it is. So, as you, your cannon starts revving up, as you become more agitated, I expect you to keep intensifying the situation, but see you take a different route. But nonetheless, I look at you and I say, this is why. Oh, so this is why. This is the lesson I had to learn. A malfunctioning synth is the one who had to take me off of my path. The one where I could have moved on, done something. Freddie died that night. But that wasn't the only thing that died that night. Doomed to my fate of just being another nobody walking on the streets. You know, Josue, Remember Josue? We liked him. We went out, got some beers together every once in a while. Don't know how much you remember that little brain of yours. Doesn't even look at me anymore. I still see him. He still walks the same path, still has the same path, doesn't even look at me anymore. No one does, not after what you did that night. Not after what you did, turn around trying to shoot fucking Freddy. And for what? No, not Freddy. We already have a Freddy established. Hold on. Frank. After turning around to shoot Frank. You don't think I wanted to fucking shoot them? Stop them from killing Freddy? No. Because you only thought about yourself, didn't you, Leopold? All you're designed to do, all those calculations going on in your head, still only the thing you can think about is yourself. That's the difference. That's the thing you never got. All that computing power, it still can't look ahead into the future. What do you think was going to happen? You think Freddy was going to get out of there alive no matter what you did? Oh, everyone was going to turn on you and suddenly... What, Freddy was going to run out of there? No. You shoot them, then what happens? You kill one of them. Clearly you don't care if you kill one of us. And they all turn around, they shoot you. Shoot me? Why me? Well, you can take a guess why. Leopold. No. No. You went to go take one shot, didn't save anyone, doomed everyone to death in that room. And still can't even see it. Still can't even see it.
Leopold just, you see him kind of standing there just seething. In fact, there is almost a slight blue mist from coming from his gun arm, as it's still whirred up and ready and fully charged up, as he sort of stands there just taking the words, and you notice that his normally steady gaze is unsteady. He's all of a sudden his eyes are darting back and forth, looking at different, looking behind you, looking at different parts of the alley, and going and he just tilts his head a little to the side again, and an obvious sign of his growing malfunction, as he says, "And now you're doing it to me, just like I'm doing to them. You're not that different from me. You're not that different from me."
And
let's go to the next move.
Head on to the next move.
All right.
Oh, let me move priority. That's on you. All right. Mm-hmm. Things are tense.
Yes.
Thrust into feint. Thrust beats feint. That's 9.
Gets us to 9 points. All right, so let's describe how the fight starts. So basically, Leopold goes, as he say, "You're not that different from me," and then he suddenly again does that thing where he just completely freezes, just no movement again, that sort of weird, as a human you immediately, it strikes you as that's unnatural. People breathe and sway and twitch, and when he goes still like that, it's unnerving. And he goes, "But maybe I can change. There's a list. It's not your turn yet. But you know what? maybe I can just change that. And he does the thing which back when we worked together really annoyed you, which was when he would part of the whole thing where like he would choose positions that were like really tactically inconvenient for you. And one of his things was that he would often go like, "Hey, there's a fire escape. Let's go up there." And it's like, yeah, he can leap 10 feet into the air from a standing start, no problem. You can't. So he does exactly that, just like leaps directly into the air, like and lands on a nearby fire escape just with a clang as he brings the pulse cannon up and aims at you, like preparing to fire as the shootout is about to begin.
As the as the rain or as the clouds darken, unnaturally as the storm finishes rolling in, and with that, the fade to black, as we get to the end of the story of poor Leopold and poor Bex,
Yep.
the poor guys. I'll eventually learn which one of these it is. There it is. That was good. That was I have the high ground.
Oh,
Now
yeah. That was a good
it's
time.
yeah. Now I know it is 10 p.m. your time.
Yes,
So
it is.
I think that's a good place to stop since it's been about 2.5 hours since we
'cause
started
we
the stream.
originally so to let the viewers know, like we originally had planned for like a second session because we were like, oh, this game might go very fast.
Yeah.
And if it does, let's like if it ends in like an hour, like we can do another one. Do we want to reveal what that was? We want to kind of say it because I'm game for like doing this and like doing that session another day.
I am
That could be a
totally
good time.
down. I am totally down to save it for a different day and just leave them wondering. I will say lighter in
leave them
tone.
wondering, but it's a good time. It's a good time if we do get to play that. Yeah, it's a very different tone if we do get to play that one.
The hint I will give you guys, you'll never guess it, but the hint I'll give you guys is that we were like, well, if we're gonna run a Blade Runner kind of game, we should probably have like a lighter in tone second game.
Yeah.
So we kind of like ease off the tension, as you guys saw. It was a little bit intense, so completely different in genre, completely different, and maybe even different weapons to be chosen. So I'll leave it to you guys to guess what it was, and I'm down to play this again. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the system, especially as we started learning.
It's a very simple system.
Yeah.
But also, by the way, I just want to say I'm really impressed and really grateful that you and your friend, like you put in the work to do all this. Like that, folks on the back end here, there's a whole website that was set up specifically for picking our moves and all that. Like this is not like provided by the game or anything. Like PB and company made this. So really cool, really cool.
Oh, absolutely. I'll shout them out here in the outro, but to say it here, shout out to Hey Nilly out in the audience who was babysitting the stream in case some bug arose. She was sitting there waiting to help out if anything arose, and everything worked out perfectly. It's she's been working on it hard for all month, and we had our session 0 a while ago, and I talked to Nilly almost very soon thereafter. And Nilly had her slew of programming friends also help her out to figure things out. So I'm very grateful to everyone out there who helped out and got things figured out, because it was super cool to get it down. You guys obviously can't see the interface because all I did was crop out the photos of the cards made by me. But the entire system, we have like a little HUD where we could hit thrust, feint, parry, the penalty move, reveal next round. It's great. 10 out of 10. And oh man, let's see if I still have the command up for Nilly, I do. Although she doesn't stream on Twitch anymore. Although keep an eye out in February because we have something fun coming up. So maybe do go follow her. Um, but make sure to follow her on heynilly.me. Is that what it is? Your Blue Sky? She's doing a lot of cool TTRPG things. I literally saw just as I started streaming that she dropped a game, a setting, a something in on itch. I believe it is a game about the liminal space that exists on what I assume to be a New York City subway system. So I thought that was very cool, although I haven't had a chance to look at it because she did it literally as I started. So how dare you? But yeah, so that was all on Nilly. She's the mastermind behind it, and I'm very, very grateful for her
Very cool.
magic mind. But Dan, where can we find you? What are you up to?
So I can be found. I mean, if you must, I would prefer not to be found. Please do not perceive me. But if you must, I can be found on the internet. Which again, I cannot warn you against strongly enough. Go out, touch grass. The internet was a mistake. That said, I assume everybody watching the stream is a grown up and gets to make their own decisions. In which case, if you must, you can find me online, pretty much anywhere that online people can be found as Uncivilized Dan. The primary places where I'm at is on Blue Sky at Uncivilized Dan, Mastodon Uncivilized Dan at dice.camp. I'm here on Twitch as Uncivilized Dan. Yeah, if you follow any of those from there, you can get to any of the links. And also, I, as established through long tradition, am very bad at marketing. And one of the things that I'm bad at marketing is the fact that I have been part of one of the longest running actual play podcasts in just out there, Fandible.com. Go to the website, and that's basically the only one we have. We don't really have a lot of social media today, but we are an actual play podcast has been going for over 15 years now. The longest running podcast, actual play podcast nobody's ever freaking heard of. We're okay. We're pretty okay. You should, if you like actual plays, go give us a listen.
Hell yeah, the links are in the I'm gonna snooze that ad, don't worry about that ad. But yeah, so make sure to follow them at Fandible, a phenomenal podcast, and over on his Blue Sky, constantly blue skying.
It's so
Squeeting?
I mean, the original thing was Keating, and I just cannot get
I
behind
can't get behind that
Skeeting.
either. No.
I saw somebody say bleeding, as in Bleeting, maybe, but that's also a little bit too like bleh. So it's hard. It's that's the thing about Twitter. It had tweet, and
And we
that alone, why? When you have such a good name, it's such a brand, everything built around. No, it's X, the Everything app. You cannot, by the way, find me on X, the Everything app. So just in case.
The Everything app for horrible people. But make sure to follow Dan also on his Twitch. Like I said, does amazing stuff over there. Constantly there. Honestly, it's a great thing to put on. He streams early in the day, so it's like middle of working, middle of your lunch break. Hey, put on Dan. He's doing some cool stuff.
I make great background sound. It's true. It's true.
And hi, I'm PV. You can find me here on this channel. It's mine. I am making an effort this season this year. To do more of these, to expand game night from just me doing solo TTRPGs, but also doing duo TTRPGs. Now, just because I'm also going to do 2 duo TTRPGs one after another, does not mean that I'm only going to be doing duos, but it is something I am actively trying to bring more friends onto the channel because I have so many friends that I don't get to play games with, either because timing, because You know, scheduling long-term campaigns, even if they're only a couple of sessions long, that's hard. So if I could just do a one-off with my friends, there's so many fun duo GM-less games out there that need to get some love too. So I'm taking advantage of that next month on Game Night. Game Night, the show I do once a month, more or less. I am having the one and only person who helped us build all of this, Hey Nilly. We're going to be playing next month, maybe beginning of March. We have ambitious plans for what we're going to do. So might get thrown into March because Nilly's birthday is at the end of February 27th. So maybe 26. I can't remember which of the two. But make sure to say happy birthday to her when the month rolls around. So that's coming up next month. I'll tell you the game maybe later in the month. We've chosen it. We're ready. We're excited. And I am 26. It's one of those days that just squeezes on next to the other. February 26th. So I have Hey Nilly on next month. And then in March, we're going to do a solo TTRPG at the end of it. And then in April, I'm planning on having a friend come on for a duo game, but also I plan on doing a bunch of things in April. So like it's my birthday month. So gonna be having some people come by and do some cool things, maybe playing some games, maybe playing some TTRPGs. Honestly, it might be fun to do like a design stream in which we like do. I know right now the tiny world building jam is going on over on Blue Sky. Oh, yeah. But like a single stream, like a sit down for like 5 hours with friends and just jam out something or other, that might be fun. I don't know. Things to think about. If you guys have suggestions, feel free to let me know over on Blue Sky and such, where you can also find me. Hey, is this the command I never use? It is. You can find me over on Blue Sky. I haven't taken in this Instagram off of there. Technically, I also haven't deleted Instagram yet. I follow a lot of cat rescue accounts, and I feel bad abandoning them. So I'm not going to post there, but so just ignore that. But I also have the YouTube channel, which I also don't post to, and then my VOD channel, which I do upload things to occasionally. Although this year I really do want to like cut up these game nights and put them on PB Plays Inside. So if that's what interests you, make sure to stop by and follow that, or don't. I mean, I don't post anything, so I guess it won't hurt you if you do follow me. I won't spam your inboxes. Yeah, other than that, I play some video games here and there, and otherwise, I'm just prepping, honestly, for games. I didn't prep for this game on stream because I was sick all month. It was a bad month, but I'm feeling better, still a little sick, as you could see me coughing intermittently during this, but I'm able to stand up and do things now, so that's a win for me. But I really enjoyed having you on, Dan. I look forward to maybe in April we can come in and do I almost said what it was, do our other planned I have the High Ground game.
And as long as I have the availability, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm definitely down. Tonight was a delight. This was a blast.
It's like I look forward to it all. Thank you guys all for showing up and hanging out. Lysander, hi, hello. I think you came in a little. I don't have my chat scrolling for some reason. Hold on, I have a different one. Yeah, Lysander, hello. I think you showed up a little bit late, but also Nilly, thanks so much for stopping by. Phoenix Scientist, I see you over on Dan's stream a lot, so thank you so much for stopping by and showing some love. We had a follow of the Part-Time Geek earlier in the stream also. Hi, thank you guys so much.
That's friend from the Fandible side. Good to see you, buddy.
Heck yeah, thank you so much for the follow, which unfortunately was hidden behind some of the cards, but I saw it. Thank you so much for the follow. Also, Hallway, thank you so much for stopping by. Kalino, I saw you stop by earlier also. Thank you guys so much for coming out, because this was a blast, and I love doing game night. I love doing TTRPGs on my channel, even if I can only do them about once a month, because I like to put in, obviously, a lot of unnecessary work. You guys enjoyed all the cards for the thrust, parry, and stuff like that. And Dan, I hope I didn't ask you about your opinions of your depiction, but I hope you enjoyed your
Oh no,
your
this
little
was great.
beard.
This was it all looked great. Like again, this is super dope.
But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much, Dan, for stopping by, and everyone else for stopping by. Um, don't forget to be nice to each other. Don't forget to be compassionate. And I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Let me just